Hola! Welcome to Insight into Melbourne. Melbourne is a multicultural city situated in southern Victoria. Throughout our video, we'll be showing you the wonderful places you can visit in Melbourne. For example, our wonderful shopping complexes, restaurants, accommodations, observations, landmarks, entertainment and attractions. We'll also be showing you our lovely transport system, which will hopefully make it a lot easier to travel around Melbourne. We'll be showing you Tullamarine Airport, which is where you'll be landing when you first arrive in Melbourne. And for a special treat, we'll be taking you out to the bayside suburb of Melbourne, St Kilda.
Now I'll show you exactly where we will be going in Melbourne. Melbourne is a great cosmopolitan city of 3 million people, which spreads over a vast area. It is the capital of the state of Victoria and has the second biggest population of all Australian major cities. In this video we will be concentrating on the central part of the city, which offers you international travellers a variety of wonderful things. The city centre is located on the banks of the beautiful Yarra River. Also we will show you the bayside suburb of St Kilda. I would advise that you had a piece of paper ready, since we will be giving you some very important phone numbers of the various attractions which we show in this video. Anyway, sit back and enjoy our insight into Melbourne.
Melbourne. We hope you've enjoyed your flight. Once you're safely on the ground and have cleared customs, there are a few things you should know about Tullamarine Airport.
Airport offers various shops and restaurants for your convenience. Melbourne International Tullamarine Airport offers a wide variety of shops and restaurants for your convenience.
Melbourne's main airport, Tullamarine, is 22 kilometres north of the city centre. There is no train service from the airport to the city. A taxi to the city costs about $20. Remember that Melbourne spreads over a vast area, so before ordering a taxi it would be wise to ask the driver for an estimate of the cost. You may decide to take a bus or train from the central city to your ultimate destination. An airport bus shuttle service operates between the airport and the city central at a cost of $8.50 per person. It is generally a half-hour service, but buses are less frequent at the weekends and on public holidays. The bus terminal in the city is at the corner of Franklin and Swanston Street. For more information, please telephone 03 335 3066. There are also a number of rent-a-car companies at the airport for people who want their own personalised vehicle to travel around Melbourne with. The Met is the name given to Melbourne's system of suburban trains, trams and buses.
To use the mats is an inexpensive and efficient way to travel around, especially as the one ticket can be used for trams, trains and buses. The mat information office is at 103 Elizabeth Street. Trams are the most convenient means of transport around the city. For more information on Melbourne's transport system, phone 131 638.
Melbourne also offers a variety of shops. Melbourne Central is located on the corner of Elizabeth Street and Swanston Street. Melbourne Central offers a variety of live shows throughout the whole year. With its crystal-cut chisel-light towers reaching into the sky, this is Australia's biggest commercial development. The complex comprises a 52-storey office tower, the Diamonds department store and over 150 specialty shops. Part of the site was once occupied by Walter Cooke's Shock Factory, which was built in 1889 to 90.
The Vic Market, or the Queen Victoria Market, first opened in 1859 as a market for livestock. It is now the only surviving market in the city proper and the biggest of all Melbourne's markets. The buildings date from 1869. The market brings together people from all the different communities in this wonderfully multicultural city. Old Anglo-Saxons, Australians rub shoulders with crowds of people from all over the countries, Europe, Asia and the Pacific.
For the hungry shopper, there is a wide variety of uniquely wonderful things for you to purchase.
The Mall is the hub of Melbourne's retailing district. It is close to motor traffic, but the famous Melbourne tram still runs down the middle, requiring you to watch out for the approach. The Mall provides shady trees and seats for weary shoppers to relax on while being entertained by one of the many buskers who display their talents here.
Myers opened on this site in 1911, the company having been founded in Bendigo in 1901. With over 40 stores, the Coles Myer Group dominates retail in Australia. You can get almost anything you need or want in Myers.
David Jones is Melbourne's most exclusive department store. David Jones purchased this store from Buckley & Nunn in 1982 and renovated the building while retaining some of the best features, including the lifts and their geometric steel inlay and polished panelling, which are distinctively Art Deco.
I hope you enjoyed our segment on shops. Now we will show you some of the great restaurants which Melbourne offers. Melbourne prides itself on being the capital of restaurants in Australia. Australia and Collins Food Court is an example.
Chinatown is immediately identified by the gateways and lights along the street, which is lined with Chinese restaurants and shops and is usually bustling with life. Chinatown just shows how multicultural Melbourne is. West of the Prince's Bridge, the bank of the Yarra has been landscaped and paved to provide a pleasant walk called South Bank Promenade, below the impressive Southgate complexes of offices, riverside restaurants and shops and the Sheraton Towers Hotel. You can recross the river by the striking modern footbridge and return to the Prince's Bridge on the city side of the river.
I hope you enjoyed our segment on restaurants. Now we are going to do a brief segment on entertainment, which will show you the Melbourne Concert Hall and the Victorian Arts Centre. The Victorian Arts Centre is a group of concert halls and theatres in St Kilda Road, south of the Yarra, just over the Princess Bridge. The buildings of the Arts Centre and the National Gallery of Victoria are connected by walkways and attractive gardens.
We hope you enjoyed our segment on entertainment. Now we're moving on to observations. You can view the city from almost any site in Melbourne that's high enough. But the best and the newest in Melbourne is the Rialto Observation Deck. Come with us and we'll show you a real insight into Melbourne.
The observation deck is 235 metres high and is on the 55th floor of the Rialto. I hope you enjoyed our section on observations and the view from the top of the Rialto observation deck. Now we will be moving on to accommodation, and we will show you some of the inner city hotels which Melbourne has to offer. The Grand Hyatt. The Regent Melbourne is located in the eastern tower of Collins Place in the upper floors. It is 5-star accommodation. This is the 36th floor of the Regent Hotel, where the hotel actually starts, and it goes on up to the 50th.
The Windsor is a very old but distinguished hotel.
Situated just across the street from the Windsor is Melbourne's Parliament House. The Park Royal Melbourne is one of Melbourne's better hotels.
our segment on accommodation. Melbourne also offers a range of lesser or cheaper hotels, and you can contact the RACV guide on 790 2727. The next section is on Melbourne's renowned landmarks, the first of which is Parliament House. Situated just across the road from the majestic Princess Theatre is the Parliament House. Parliament House was built in stages from 1856 and has never been completed. Although it lacks the planned dome and a side and rear facades, the building remains the most splendid 19th century secular building in Australia. The upper and lower house chambers are open to the public, as are Queen's Hall and the library. Visitors may listen to the debates in both legislative chambers after obtaining a pass at the main entrance. Plans of the Legislative Assembly chambers showing the seats of each member are available.
The old Treasury Buildings, 1857, which faces the top of Collins Street, is one of the many major public buildings which were constructed in the 1850s with the prosperity and self-confidence coming from the gold rush. In fact, this building was built explicitly to hold the gold coming into Melbourne from the mining towns. Below ground there are 10 vaults with walls 30 centimetres, 1 foot thick, and doors of solid iron. The architect, J.J. Clark, was only 19 when he designed this fine building.
These are the Fitzroy Gardens. Located within them is Captain Cook's cottage.
Captain Cook's cottage was brought out stone by stone from Yorkshire in 1934 and re-erected in Fitzroy Garden as a contribution to Victoria's centennial celebrations. This humble building was actually the home of Captain Cook's parents rather than that of the great explorer himself, but it is well worth visiting nonetheless. It is open daily 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission for adults is $2.50, children $1.20. For more information, phone 419-8742.
The present building is on the site of Australia's first railway station. It is a striking Edwardian Baroque building built in 1901 to 1911. The entry arches facing the corner of Swanston and Flinders Streets are home to the much-loved Next train clocks, which have been a long-favoured meeting spot. The concourse has a number of handy retail outlets, food, magazines and pharmaceuticals. There is also a Met information kiosk for assistance with public transport.
The Shrine of Remembrance is Victoria's major war memorial. It is a massively impressive non-Grecian building and dominates the view along St Kilda Road. It was opened in 1934 as a monument to the men and women of Victoria who served the Empire in the Great War of 1914 to 1918. I hope you enjoyed our section on landmarks. Now we'll be moving on to attractions. and we hope to show you some of those places you've really been waiting to see.
The Royal Botanical Gardens are one of Melbourne's greatest glories and not to be missed. The site for the gardens was reserved and planting began in 1846, barely 10 years after the first settlement of Melbourne. The gardens now cover 35 hectares and are one of the most ambitious and beautiful examples of 19th century English landscape gardening in the world. In summer, the Botanical Gardens provide a setting for popular outdoor theatrical productions like A Midsummer Night's Dream and The Wind in the Willows.
The Yarra Banks are where bring your own is the key to eating. They are used by crowds of people every day throughout the warmer months for breakfast and dinner. For many Melburnians, it is the ideal place for the family get-togethers around the many electronic coin-in slot barbecues. Several boats sail up and down the river, starting from the ferry terminal at Princess Bridge. They vary in length and destination. You can go downstream to the Westgate Bridge and the Port of Melbourne via the World Trade Centre, or upstream past the Botanical Gardens to Como Island or Herring Island. Most tours last about 1 hour, but those going downstream depend on the tides and weather. It would be advisable to telephone first. Charge for the tours are approximately $10 for adults and $5 for children. Either phone Melbourne River Tours on 650-2054 or City River Cruises on 250-2214.
Flinders Park National Tennis Centre opened in 1988. It is the venue for the Australian Open, one of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments of the tennis calendar. The best players in the world compete here every January. The centre court has a remarkable retractable roof so that tennis can be played whatever the weather. The centre is also used for other popular events, such as concerts, major boxing matches and ice skating spectaculars. Tennis courts, indoors or outdoors, can be hired, and out of season, tours of the complex can be booked.
By far the biggest stadium in Australia, with room for 110,000 spectators, this is the mecca for cricket and Australian football fans. The first England versus Australia cricket test match was played here in 1877. The MCG was the main stadium for the 1956 Olympic Games. The ground is easily accessible by footbridge over the railway tracks from the tennis centre. The MCG is best seen when a major sporting event is taking place. The nightlife in Melbourne is something which is not to be missed. Want some more?
As you can see, Melbourne comes alive at night. One of the new attractions in Melbourne is the Crown Casino, situated in the World Congress Centre temporarily while its new site is being excavated. It brings people from all over Australia and all over the world together to have a great night out and heaps of fun.
As you can see, Melbourne is a fabulous place to visit with excitement for all. Come with us for one last view of central Melbourne before we move on to the Bayside suburb of St Kilda. I hope you enjoyed our segment of Melbourne by night. Now we're moving on to the Bayside suburb of St Kilda, which is renowned to be Melbourne's playground.
Acland Street is one of the most interesting shopping streets in Melbourne.
Refugees from Central Europe settled round here, and soon the street had cake shops, delicatessens and coffee shops. These places still flourish, but now the street also has restaurants and bars of all kinds and specialty shops to delight the browser. The street is always lively, particularly on holidays and Sundays, a fun place to see.
This is St Kilda Beach. By the popular beach, there is a footpath and bicycle track, both happily crowded on holidays and warm evenings.
On Sundays, a street market, Victoria's oldest, is held on the Upper Esplanade. The Palais Theatre on St Kilda Beach claims to be the largest theatre in the Southern Hemisphere. Luna Park is Melbourne's fun fair, and it is located in St Kilda.
Luna Park's motto is, just for fun. There has been a pier at St Kilda since the 1850s.
It now provides a pleasant walking space for sunny afternoons and is often crowded with people. The view from St Kilda Pier offers magnificent views of the city and the bay for the crowds which throng them on fine days. Here is Fitzroy Street. A magnificent boulevard stretches from the junction to the sea and is constantly throbbing with people. The main shopping area is on the south and offers an exciting range of restaurants, mostly Italian, takeaway foods and fun parlours.
We hope you enjoyed ATEL's production of Insight into Melbourne. All public participants received Cadbury's chocolates. Our cast and crew choose to fly Qantas Airways and prefer to stay at Regent hotels.